Go.
What is up, Football Life? Welcome to the final draft special of the Deep Thirds Football Podcast. I am your host, Randy Hammond, joined by my two draft experts, none other than Matt Bushnell. Matt, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, Randy. How are you today?
I'm doing well, still quarantined in my apartment, but still doing well. It's a beautiful day. And Ryan Shiner, all the way out in Missouri. Ryan, welcome back.
Thanks.
Beard looking as marvelous as ever, I might add.
Yeah, I had to throw on a hat today. It's getting there.
Okay. All right. Well, we are recording this on Monday, April 20th, which is 420. So if you celebrate, I hope you had a great time doing so. But we're going to talk about some draft stuff today. And we're going to finish our picks 22 through 32. So we did all the picks up until then last week and the week before. If you haven't caught those yet, you might want to go back and check out our picks. We had some interesting ones, some controversial trade decisions, and maybe a potential death on air. But you'll want to go check those out before you watch this one, because those were all of our picks. If you miss any of our picks, we will post our mocks in full on Football Life before the draft on Thursday. And speaking of, guys, you know the draft is going to be virtual. It's unlike any draft before in the history of the NFL. A lot of old GMs, right? A lot of guys who aren't tech savvy going on here. So apparently today they tried a mock draft. And I love fantasy football. I do mock drafts all the time. It's one of my favorite things to do because I am a loser. But they're fun. And I don't have tech issues quite that like this. It came out today that they tried to do a mock draft just to see how all of this would go. And Matt, it was a disaster. They couldn't even get the Bengals pick out. And I don't know if you know this, but they picked first. So I don't know. Are you any less excited for the draft after hearing about the tech issues that they had today?
You know, it gives me hope that Ryan Pace is going to be able to fleece somebody, because he's still fairly young, tech-savvy, young guy. You think that he'd be able to utilize this system to his advantage. So I'm looking forward to that. But, yeah, I have a bad feeling it's going to be really messy. I saw a memo that was released today that no team, even when the time is up, you can't jump another team. So basically, a team's going to be able to make their pick even if they run out of time.
Yeah, it's going to be way different than anything we've ever experienced. Ryan, I know that you are someone who enjoys sort of a disaster scenario. So tell me about your thoughts on that.
Okay, so here's how my draft viewing usually goes. So a lot of times I'll just like casually watch the NFL draft. I mean, like, you know, you watch how many college football clips can you really watch? You know, rounds 1 through 7. Unless there's somebody like, you know, Missouri's going to go up or the Bears are going to do something interesting. This is going to be quality TV. I am so excited. There's nothing better than seeing 32 old farts not knowing how to open a PDF, probably going to have to reboot. There's going to be a bunch of IT issues. Sorry for all my friends who work in IT who are going to be watching this, but your pain gets to be shown to the entire world. So you guys should see this as a win.
Yeah, I work in local news. A lot of things we do now, especially with interviews, are via Zoom, via Skype, all digital. Can't really go face-to-face with people given this pandemic situation we're going through right now. And it's not always the smoothest thing. It doesn't always go well. I mean, if you watched our last show, you saw that, you know, I would freeze sometimes, Ryan would freeze sometimes. We thought Matt would be freezing, and we kept talking. Like, there's tech issues that can happen even in a podcast that happens in a Facebook group. So I'm very interested to see, especially some of these older guys. I mean, I root for a team that has an older gentleman who hired what he called computer folk on his staff just months ago. And there was a picture of him. It came out. He had just like a solo computer that looked like I have a 2010 Sony Vaio in front of me right now because it's all reliable. And it looked like that. And then he had a binder bigger than my head in front of him. So is he really using the computer or is he really using the binder? And Matt, if you could put a finger on a team making the wrong pick here in the first round, especially early, who is it going to be?
Oh, easily the Giants. This has Giants mishap written all over it.
I can't help but to think that all of the teams in the top 5 could have an issue here. I can see the Lions.
Again, giving way too much credit to the Cleveland Browns.
Well, it's not going to get to them, is what I'm saying. It's going to happen before 10. I think that the Bengals could totally just screw this up right off the bat. I think that the Redskins could totally screw this up right off the bat. And the Lions, I think before the Giants even had a chance, the Lions could totally just accidentally say a name, and then boom, the Lions select this guy.
See, I imagine a lot of those other teams are going to be like accidentally delaying picks and being like, I think I'm clicking it. You're not clicking it. I am clicking it. The Browns are going to pick somebody wrong. That wrong person is going to be Michael Pittman.
My favorite report is one we had posted in our group earlier is that a GM was complaining that one of their children was on the Wi-Fi in another room, ruining the internet connection. And I only live with one other person, but when there's more than 3 devices on my Wi-Fi, it sucks pretty bad too. So I can relate. I think that's going to be a huge issue this year for sure. I just don't know who, but I cannot wait to see what happens when it does, because it's going to be a roasting from our group and beyond. Ryan, I know you're an active Twitter user like I am. I just who is the one person that is going to get roasted the most on Twitter with this? I can't help but to think it's Dave Gettleman, but is there another person?
Oh God. I mean, one is going to be ABC because there's going to be a technical issue with them doing something. I don't know what that something is going to be, but God, so do I have to pick a GM? Do I have to pick like?
Well, I guess I was thinking more along the lines of GMs, but now that you mention it, it could be a whole other slate of news entities or broadcast professionals.
I think that there's going to be an issue along the lines of somebody's going to not know that there's a camera on or a mic on, and they're going to say just something really, really awful.
Yeah.
I don't want to make assumptions, but it's probably going to be the Miami Dolphins or the Detroit Lions.
Yeah. Mike, go ahead.
I'm going to go with the franchise that hired Matt Patricia.
Oh no. You guys are missing. Like, I know it's going to be a while before we get to him, but could you imagine Jerry Jones with a hot mic?
Yes. That is exactly what we all needed, Matt. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, just imagine the crap that's going to come out of that guy's mouth. And he's like, it's going to be hilarious.
Jerry Jones looks like the type of person who's going to spend draft time to look through a guy's Twitter feed to see if he stands for the anthem or not.
Yeah. I mean, the first round of the draft especially is appointment television for me, and usually we have a party and watch it. I love the NFL draft. I love the NFL. So obviously me and my friends, we all root for different teams. We want to see what our teams do, make fun of each other when they do dumb stuff. Most of the time it's me, but whatever. I love the aspect that I've read, like they don't know how to turn off their mics. Like that is going to be an absolute disaster. And like Matt said, Jerry Jones is going to say something so incredibly racist, and it's going to be awesome. And I cannot wait. I can't wait for that.
Yeah, the Dallas Cowboys might be for sale on Friday.
Yeah. It'll be a Clipper situation. What was Donald Sterling?
Yep, Donald Sterling.
You say something racist and you get billions of dollars for it. So Jerry Jones could be hitting the jackpot here soon, which would be bad for the rest of us because Jerry Jones is probably what's keeping that franchise back. But all right, not a whole lot of news going on since the last time we spoke. So we're going to dedicate the rest of this episode into finishing our mock draft. Like I said, we're not going to recap picks 11 to 22. We are just going to go 22 or 11 to 21, I should say. 22 to 32 is what our picks are going to be today. So lack of visuals, lack of fun PowerPoints for you today. We apologize, but you get to look at all of our beautiful faces and you get to hear our football banter. So yeah. So picking 22nd this year in the NFL draft is the first pick of the Minnesota Vikings, who have 2 in the 20s. Matt, we're going to start off with you. Minnesota at 22. Who you got?
I think Minnesota's going to start repairing that defense a little bit, and they're going to be taking Noah Igbenogany, cornerback out of Auburn.
Ooh, what a name.
Yep.
A+ on the name. It's saying, too.
Thank you. He fits a need. They need to repair that secondary a little bit. They probably also need a pass rusher. But I like the cornerback, and it's a good spot for him. I would try to pronounce his name. I'm just going to call him Noah. I think Noah has good size, good range. He'll be able to cover a lot of ground. So Minnesota needs that.
I respect you even putting him in your mock, because a lot of times when I see a difficult name, I just was like, no, I'm not even going to do it, and just pick someone else. So I respect that. Ryan, at 22, anything can happen when you make a pick for your mock draft. Who are the Minnesota Vikings picking here?
So I actually saw on the Vikings website that they are looking at corner, and the two names that they had on there that they're looking at allegedly. I mean, it's, their own little reporter, so who knows like how much is going to be accurate. But the two corners that they have listed are Jalen Johnson and AJ Terrell, and I think they'll probably go with Jalen Johnson from Utah. And basically all the same reasons Matt said. I mean, they're going to have to repair that secondary somehow, and really at this point, because for me they're also kind of like a hard team to read, just coming off of last year. And if there's going to be one position where they're going to have to like go out to fix, it's probably going to be that. So that's mine.
Yeah, I agree. I think their front seven is still really good, even with them losing, some of the important players we had up front. Xavier Rhodes, who was really good for a long time, really was bad last year, and it really hurt them in the back end. Harrison Smith's still a really good safety, but you got to help yourself on the outside here. So I'm along the same thought process with you guys. I'm going to go Trevon Diggs, the corner from Alabama. I know secondary players from Alabama are iffy, but I actually really like his footwork. He got thrown at quite a bit, but I mean, I think the offenses in the SEC were actually pretty good this year, so I don't think they cared as much about who the corners were, but more about their offensive systems. But I think he could translate well, and I think given Minnesota's history of success with defense, I think that they could totally make him work, especially if they, helped him out, put him on Harrison Smith's side. I think that could totally work for sure. Okay, picking at 23 is the New England Patriots. Pretty high for them, given that they usually are picking in the 30s every year. Tom Brady left. Seems to be a changing of the guard, and they'd announced new uniforms, which are basically just their color rush uniforms. The blue one is kind of boring, but the white is kind of nice. Not important when it comes to the draft, but maybe it's a signaling of a new era. Maybe they go quarterback here. Ryan, who do you have the Patriots picking?
So actually, I don't think they're going to go quarterback, mainly because in my draft I already have all the main quarterbacks picked. But they could always trade up. I think probably what their need is going to be tight end more so, because I think they're actually just going to go out and sign somebody, whether it's Cam Newton or whoever it is. And unfortunately in this draft, I think they can actually get the tight ends that they're looking for. They can get a little bit later. So like Albert O, I would say is probably the best tight end out of this one. Not a little bit biased, but they can get him probably in the second round. Maybe at worst third. He's probably gonna be mid-second, late second. So I think they'll actually probably go with a receiver with Justin Jefferson from LSU. He looked really great this past year. Really great route runner. Whoever they're going to sign I think is who they're going to be building this around, and whether that's Cam or whoever that's going to be, I think they're not going to use this on a quarterback if they're picking at this spot. Now, if they do trade up and get the Lions spot or whatever, I can see them picking up Tua or whoever else. But
and it'd be the second year in a row that they picked a wide receiver in the first round. That would be kind of interesting for Bill Belichick, considering he hasn't had any success picking receivers in the first. I forgot who. Well, N'Keal Harry was the guy they picked last year. Kind of struggled, but we'll see what happens with him. That would be a good pick. I think Justin Jefferson's a good player. Matt, what about you?
I don't see them going wide receiver for the very reasons of N'Keal Harry, and they still have Julian Edelman. So I don't see that as a glaring position of need. They need that combo tight end, a tight end that's big enough at the point of attack to hold his blocks, to enable the run game, and also to have those soft hands to be able to catch the pass. That's why I have them taking the best tight end on the board here. It might be a little bit of a reach for them, but they have to get him. Adam Trautman, tight end out of Dayton, 6'6", 251.
Yeah, it sounds like a Bill Belichick wet dream. That guy is